So I think that takes us into the kind of what ifs, of a composer and commissioning relationship, the things that, we need to plan for, because not every relationship is going to necessarily either end in a premiere or things are going to work out according to plan. And so this is where having discussion ahead of time around what happens if the work isn't delivered, is a portion of the fee refundable or non-refundable? What happens if timelines need to be amended? How do we address those kinds of conversations ahead of time within the discussion, is something that we wanted to encourage in the Anatomy of a Commission discussion guide as well. Yeah, there are a number of considerations that composer and commissioner can factor in when thinking about recording digital media rights in reference to the premiere, or really, any rental, perhaps, performance of a composer's work, right? So I think the first big distinction is just to recognize that there's a difference between an audio capture and an audio visual capture. And often those get collapsed. And I think for composers and commissioners to be very clear and precise about what type of a capture recording is being made. Is it just audio only, or is it audio visual as well? That's kind of step one, it seems to me. Beyond that, then the question becomes, what can you do with that capture and recording? Can composer obtain a copy of the audio recording? If so, under what limitations on use, which are often dictated by the collective bargaining terms or electronic media terms of the commissioning ensemble. So the composer needs to definitely engage with the commissioner around what limitations would I face if I were to ask for an audio recording of the performance or even rehearsals of this material. What can I do with it? What can't I do with it? So I think from the composer's perspective, having a sense of what questions would arise and what the limitations would be. And then the same thing from the commissioner's perspective, being clear and careful about, if you're going to capture these materials, are they going to be held just for archival purposes? Are they going to be used in connection with grant making activities? So are they going to be, submitted as part of grant applications? And will the composer have an opportunity to weigh in on which performance or edited performance is going to be used as part of the grant application? And then beyond that, is it going to be used audio for broadcast, audio for website streaming? So each one of these is a different use that would require discussion. So just like you would, be paying attention to the details of, what instruments are going to appear on stage in connection with the performance, needing to give the same level of attention and detail to the digital media uses that are being, requested and made of the audio and audiovisual uses for a particular work. And if it's audiovisual, that then takes it, the composer into the land of synchronization and having a sense of what synchronized uses are going to be made, either on digital, social media, or something potentially, more broad than that, and vice versa, the degree to which the composer would have those reciprocal, promotional use rights. So I think this is it's a really important part of the agreement, and just being upfront about, what limitations, might exist would be a big part of how to approach the conversation. I'm so hopeful about the use of this discussion guide, and I know that I and the American Composers Forum would be delighted to receive feedback and comments about how you are using it, what some of the questions are that are arising as you're trying to navigate some of these terms, and in particular, how we can continue to evolve this piece for future use. And I would also offer, just as it's mentioned in the discussion guide, none of today's conversation or any of these materials are intended to be a substitute for good professional legal advice that you, as commissioner or composer, should obtain independently of this webinar. I would absolutely encourage you to reach out to a local professional to assist you in navigating these elements and putting it together in a way that's reflective of your individual circumstances. And aside from that, just want to thank the American Composers Forum, Vanessa Rose, Carolina Heredia, and the entire team at ACF for helping to steward this production and this project, Anatomy of a Commission, going forward.